I've got a little gossip for you today, and here is the truth. I broke up with ChatGPT. I know, it's sad. We dated briefly but passionately, and now it's over. Well, maybe not completely over, but at least mostly over. And I want to get into exactly what happened. So basically, I am very resistant to AI. And if you have listened to my Artistpreneur podcast or watched the YouTube episodes about ChatGPT, you're going to see a whole evolution of initially like, oh, I would never go there. Then I start to go there a little bit. Then what are these AI hallucinations? And then I'm in love with ChatGPT. It's my new BFF. And so you can see all of that process. The reason that I did this is because I don't want to carry resistance. Like in general, if I encounter resistance inside myself, I identify it and then I work through it. And one of the ways of working through resistance is to not just vilify the thing. So if I was to say, I don't like ChatGPT, I'm just not going to look at it and everyone who uses it is wrong and bad, then that's just not the way that I operate. I'm more like, I'm having this dislike of ChatGPT. Like, what is that about? Why am I so resistant to anything AI? Is it really that bad? How bad is it? And so I get into it and I start exploring it and I discover, well, gosh, there's so many amazing uses for it. And very quickly, ChatGPT told me that I was using ChatGPT, in like the top 10 percentile, or it might even have been higher than that, of people that with my background. Like not even just people with my background, but sort of generally coaches, online course creators, that kind of niche. And that I was using it at a very high level just across the board, not just in my niche. And I was like, I don't believe you, ChatGPT. I think you're just doing your thing where you're trying to make me feel good. And so I asked it, how do you quantify this? What do you mean that I'm using it so well? And what it said was that I was actually inputting like very complex or detailed prompts, and that I was giving it feedback and I was conversing with it in a way to like evolve what it was that I was doing, and that this was not the way in which the general user actually uses ChatGPT. And I'm kind of convinced. And I realized that I actually am using it very, very well. And here's how I was using it. Basically, creating launch content. Now, I wasn't just saying, ChatGPT, create a bunch of launch content for this program. I was doing this whole thing with it because I have a lot of experience with launching, with messaging, with marketing, with putting together buyer profiles and spicy writing. I have taken a lot of courses on content creation and sales and marketing, and I really understand how to do it. And so basically, I was using ChatGPT in a detailed way to really talk to me about who is this dream buyer or dream client for my different programs. And there were several programs that I did this for. Like, who is that person? What are they struggling with? Then I would go back and forth and I would share some market research I had done, and I would ask it to sort of analyze it. And then I would share testimonials from my clients and I would say, look at this, until we had built out a really strong foundation of what each program that I was selling during this time period was all about. And then I was asking ChatGPT to come up with like an email sequence, like what order would it suggest? Or I was feeding it an order that I thought was good based on other courses and experience of mine and saying, I want to do it this way. And then going back and forth, collaborating with ChatGPT as it created content, and then I refined it and gave it feedback. So in no way did I just say, here, write an email, and then I sent that email. It was multiple times going back and forth, which brings me to one of the first things that is an issue for me, which is the amount of time it actually takes. So people say use ChatGPT and AI to save time, and it does save time for sure if you use it strategically, but it also expands time, especially if you're highly perfectionistic. And also it expands time if you are connected to your intuition and normally would just go with what your intuition told you. But if in this case, it's like instead of just going with that intuitive idea, you have an intuitive hit and then you go to ChatGPT and you say, here's my intuitive hit. What other ideas do you have? And now you've got 10 or 15 or 20 to sort through because it's infinite, the variety of things that ChatGPT can provide you and all of the different AI resources. And so in my circumstance, normally my content doesn't actually take that long because I get an intuitive hit and then I write it out. Then I do tend to read through it a couple times and make edits, or maybe I put it aside and then I look at it later in the day or the next day. It kind of depends. But it's not like I'm sorting through, let's say, 15 great ideas, maybe choosing one, writing that one, or having, if I was to do it myself, 15 ideas, then writing one, and then like refining every single part in that. So if you tend to be highly perfectionistic, very skilled in messaging marketing, this is just the example of what I use ChatGPT for, then when you are doing this, it's like you're expanding the work because suddenly you've got infinite options. And so one of the courses that I've taken from one of my mentors that I loved was called Spice Up Your Writing. Now, normally I like to go through and spice up my writing. And basically this means like adding fun analogies, adding silly, humorous, surprising metaphors. So I often, when I'm using my own mind, will come up with things like it felt as heavy as a hippopotamus sitting on top of an elephant on your head. Like I would say something that was kind of silly and made no sense like that, but still got it across. But with ChatGPT, it's like you've got incredible refinement in this spicy writing, meaning making your writing funnier, making it more rich with analogies. And since I am speaking to artists and musicians and creatives, and ChatGPT knew this, it was coming up with these beautiful musical sort of analogies and metaphors, like talking about symphonies and orchestras and different instruments and how they play, and just using that to make the writing just really pop. Now, here's the thing. The first thing I said was it takes a lot more time, but here's the second thing that really bothered me. And this is very much in the frequency of truth, which is something that I am focusing on for the next year. Right now, I'm sharing it on Instagram. So today, as I'm filming this, it's day 10 of 365 days of live in the frequency of truth. And so basically, I'm just showing up and speaking whatever is my truth. And here on YouTube, I'm going to be doing the same. And on my podcast, that's another great place for this. But in this 365 days of live in the frequency of truth, in the frequency of truth, I started to feel like this version of me in my writing using ChatGPT was like an idealized version of me. It's kind of like the AI photography, which we're going to get into as well. In a moment, I'm going to talk about that too. But the sense of there's this idealized vision or version of you in the image, it was really similar for me with the writing, that it was just too correct, too perfect, too spicy, and in just the right doses. It was like, this is what I would sound like if I was really perfect in my writing. And that doesn't happen to everyone, because remember, I did start to learn how to really use ChatGPT well. Sometimes you read it and it's like, ooh, that's so obviously ChatGPT. It's boring, it's bland, it's cliche. But if you get really good at it, then it's like, ooh, that's really good writing. Except here's an interesting thing. Once I started to notice how sort of over the top good my writing was becoming because I've read so much, as I was interacting with ChatGPT, it was really easy to see, okay, where do I want to fix it? Where could this be even better? Where could it be even tighter? Where could it be even better? And asking ChatGPT, okay, here's the 5th draft of this caption. How can we improve it more? Or this email. Is that now I am seeing other people's really good content, and I have strong suspicions that it too is written by ChatGPT. So whereas before I could tell that something was written by ChatGPT because it wasn't all that good, now I can often tell it was written by ChatGPT, or at least collaborated with ChatGPT, because it is good and it still sort of starts to sound the same even at the high level. And so in this frequency of truth, which I am obsessed with right now, I just felt like I just want to sound like me. I want my writing to sound like the way I'm talking to you right now. This is not an AI clone. I'm not reading from a teleprompter. I really am just showing up and speaking in the frequency of truth. And that's what I want it to be across the board. Now, with this said, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with ChatGPT or AI in general. As I dived in and I dealt with my resistance, I could absolutely see the value. And maybe I'll go back to using it again, or maybe I will find a way to use it that makes sense to me. But right now, I downgraded from the paid to the free subscription, and we're taking a break. Like that's very much how it feels to me. So about the AI imagery, I purchased a whole bunch of courses there too. And again, there's this thing about the time. So I have a sense of who I am as a person and what it is that I do in my work with clients. And it is rather inspired by all of the fantasy books that I've read. It's not just that. It's like, I don't really feel like going into it in this YouTube video, but more and more you're going to start hearing me speak about energetic frequency, and you're going to hear me share my own like sound that I'm basically channeling now. It's this emerging sound frequency that is quite extraordinary. And so I see what I do in really larger than life imagery. And so I could see myself creating, and I did, I was like imagining myself creating imagery that was like fantasy inspired. So I look like a priestess in a desert or in a forest, and making a clone of myself for the images, and making again an idealized version. I felt myself wanting to do that, and so I purchased the courses and I started to do the courses. And there's a couple things that comes up for me. Same thing about this frequency of truth. There's just something in it that doesn't really feel right. And it's funny because sometimes I'll see extraordinary AI imagery that looks like absolutely amazing art, and I'll look at it and I'll be like, wow. But then I'll look at more and more of it, and I just start to feel a deadness, like a not aliveness. It's fascinating. There's this one creator that does a bunch of images of these two old ladies wearing funny costumes. And I really like them initially. I'm like, oh, that's so funny. It's so cute. But the more I see of it, the more I'm like, yeah, but it's not real. If it was real, it would be amazing, but it's not real. And so it's like, what's the difference between a not real AI image versus a not real painting? It's an interesting question. But for me, the act of painting, it's like it comes through the human artistic expression. And I understand that with the AI art, the AI photos, that it's coming through the mind of the person. It's curated, the prompt is put out there and then defined and developed, and it means that somebody who's really good with words can create extraordinary images when maybe they couldn't. But I'm just not personally loving it. That doesn't mean that my scroll won't be stopped by it, but what happens for me anyway, and let me know in the comments what it's like for you, or DM me or message me what it's like for you. When you see this art, it's like, does it move you? And if you see somebody who does it a lot, like that basically everything that they put out is AI generated, do you start to scroll past, or does it still stop your scroll? Because what I've noticed is that initially my scroll will be stopped, but the more I see that particular creator is using the AI, the more I get bored by it. And I find that kind of fascinating. So that was part of it. And then the other part is that it takes a lot of time to master this kind of tech stuff, like to really create these extraordinary images online on the computer. It takes time. It takes focus. It takes attention. That's not where I want to put my attention. I really want to put my attention in moving my body, in living and moving through space, and in taking my own photos, which is something that I have really been working on over these many last years. And there's something quite extraordinary about actually capturing yourself and knowing that this is actually you and how you look. So when I thought about the amount of time it would take to master the AI photography and how much time I would have to sit in front of the computer more than I already do, just thought, you know what, I'd rather put that time into other things, including capturing my own photos using a clicker, for example. So that's basically where I am with the, poor ChatGPT. I don't think it misses me too much, but I mean, I even went so far as to create my own custom GPT, and I named it Fiona's Brand Alchemist. So, I went all the way in, and now we've broken up. We'll see what happens from here. Maybe it'll be on and off, or maybe it's off. We'll find out. If you're curious about the whole journey of how I got here with ChatGPT and my exploration of AI, then watch these videos. Definitely subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I've got a free Facebook group. I've got a whole bunch of valuable resources in the description, including a free masterclass called Pie in the Sky. And for now, I don't really have a sign off. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you soon.